What's up, duelists? The video you've all been waiting for, Rescue Cat Synchro. This is a deck that I for a long time have said is pretty bad. But before we get into this video, well, first things first, you gotta subscribe. That's just, that's the first thing. But then the second thing is, in the last video, I talked about how some of the popular Yu-Gi tubers, some of the popular people in the sphere, have been talking about looking up to this guy, Andrew Tate. And I did say, Andrew Tate is a bad guy. Andrew Tate is a piece of shit. He's a scumbag, whatever. I said whatever in the last video. And a couple of comments really disagreed with me. There was this comment from Cody Sessions that says, love the channel, yet I also encourage you to do your digging on subjects such as Tate when you aren't well versed on the topic at hand. Keep it Yu-Gi-Oh when you know Yu-Gi-Oh. Hopefully you can do some due diligence on the Tates rather than speak ill on peeps that are doing good for the world. Keep that in mind. And then I got this other comment that said, Keegan, if you are not informed, please do not talk about it. As of now, for example, Andrew Tate is freed from prison. He just got accused of human trafficking. There is literally zero evidence. Have a good day. Okay, so you two guys, we're gonna do our due diligence. All right, we're gonna do our due diligence. We're actually gonna go ahead and get well versed on the topic at hand. This is a screenshot from Andrew Tate's own website that says, why am I an expert on all male-female interactions? First off, fucking cringe. First off, that's an insanely cringe thing to say. Like, we get it, Mr. Bitches. You're amazing. You're such a cool guy. He basically goes on to describe, over 50% of my employees were actually my girlfriend at the time, and of all my girlfriends, none were in the adult entertainment industry before they met me. Basically saying he traffics women using a method that is a tale as old as time called the lover boy method. This is a very common way that people are sex trafficked or converted into the sex work industry more or less against their will. They're manipulated into the position because they love this person. They genuinely are attached to this person, and they would do anything for them, including literally whore themselves out on camera. And that's what he does. He manipulates women into positions like that, and this is part of the reason why he is being investigated for sex trafficking, amongst a large list of other crimes that he's already been convicted for in other countries, and you can look more into this. Another thing is that Christian Simic had mentioned that he had been released from prison. He is not. He's actually still in prison. He's going to be in prison for at least the next month while they conduct the extent, that's not the right word. Well, they conduct this trial, basically. They conduct this trial on this guy. Now, I know a lot of my audience is male. It's over 99% of my audience is male. And I know a lot of you guys are in that age, 20 to 35 years old. And it's tough for us right now. Legit. Like, this is the loneliest generation it's been in a really long time. And there's not a lot of positive role male models. So I understand, like, if you're in a situation where you see some guy who's saying, oh, you can be badass, you can be rich like me, you can do all this stuff like me, it's easy to get caught into that trap. I get it. I totally get it. And I don't want to alienate you guys for commenting on my video. I actually want to thank you for opening up this discussion. And I want you guys to know that in the really big Yu-Gi-Oh Discord, in the description below, there's places where you can ask for advice in things regarding dating, regarding lifestyle stuff, regarding workouts. There's also, a healthy discussion happening there if you guys want to talk about some of this stuff. If you guys are confused, if you guys are feeling like kind of betrayed, like this guy kind of built up men, but on the same side, he was also like tearing down women and doing really awful shit. And that's not really what it's about. I also want to offer a couple of other, positive, I think, male role models. One of the ones that we had talked about on stream a couple days ago was Hybrid Calisthenics. I think this guy is a Giga Chad. And just watching his videos makes you feel good about like being a man and working out and all that shit. And then another guy, Magnus Mitbo, of course. I don't have an example of him pulled up, but check him out if you want a positive male role model. If you just want someone who's like based as fuck that you want to watch and you want to feel like, like you want to work out or you want to get pumped about something, like those are some dudes I'd recommend. I would not recommend ever consuming anything Andrew Tate related. I'm not going to talk about him again after this. I think he's an absolute piece of shit. And if after seeing this, you guys still disagree with me and you still think that Andrew Tate is the way to go, then please fucking unsubscribe from my channel, leave my Discord, never talk to me ever again, because I don't want to listen to your fucking brainwash mentality. Either change your mind on that situation or just don't interact with me or the channel ever again. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to the deck because I just had to get that off of my chest because it was kind of bothering me. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of bothering me. You guys are awesome. Like, the community is awesome. The majority of the people agree. Like, but I think this is one of those situations where I can understand why you might be fucking like confused by things, and why you might be like lonely and like looking up to a dude who's saying like everyone has done this to you. He's creating a victim narrative for you, and you're like, yeah, it's not my fault, it's everybody else's, and that's not how you should go about life, I think, in general. Okay, so why am I playing this deck? Why am I playing this deck that I have said is terrible in the past? Well, usually when I pick up a deck, it's because I got destroyed by it. So I'm going to show you a replay of me getting destroyed by a very similar list to this. This is my personal Caliber Cat list. I'll get into the choices after we watch this replay. So this is a replay of me versus Blason 24. I was on just playing a casual games, you know, just playing some Edison. Not recording, not doing anything, just vibing. Here you see my opening hand. I got 3 battle traps. I've got an Exploder Dragon. This is not a great opening hand versus a deck that's trying to summon Arcanite Magician. Let's be real. Now, the opponent's got some tech in their deck. They've got Legacy of Yugioh. See, I'm not a big fan of these types of cards in the Rescue Cat deck. We'll get into that later. But, yeah, I just set Deep Prison and I pass. I don't really feel the need to commit this guy. They set Sangan. This is a smart play from Blason here, not attacking with Sangan into the potential of Deep Prison. Losing their Sangan here would be pretty big. Keeping the Sangan in play, too, for next turn means they can synchro with Airbellum or with the Rescue Cat into double Airbellum plus Mind Control for a big push. I believe they set both their back row. Yep. All right. On my turn, I just summon Mass Dragon and attack. They elect not to Mirror Force because they do have Mind Control, so they can do some cool stuff. Sangan's going to search Gravekeeper Spy. Now, Gravekeeper Spy is actually pretty good against the Dragon deck because without Red Med, you can't really run it over effectively, and it's just going to kind of sit there and be annoying. They pick up Brain Control, so their hand's absolutely stacked. I do want to comment on this card here, Mind Control. I think this card is absolutely insane in Edison format. I think it's like a top 3 spell card in the format. And I think the Rescue Cat deck is actually one of the best decks at utilizing it. I think it's one of the best decks at using this card, basically. If you draw this card in Rescue Cat, it's better than drawing it in any other deck by a wide margin. Because at the very least, you can get in pokes with Airbellum. So it's like, it's always going to replace itself, more or less. I pick up Smashing Ground, naturally very bad against Gravekeeper Spy here. So I just switch my Mass Dragon to defense. I set a Bottomless Trap Hole, and I set Exploder Dragon. Here comes Flip Gravekeeper Spy, here comes Guard. So I've seen Guard at this point. I haven't seen Descendant. I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're just on Guard, no Descendant. Makes sense. They summon Airbellum. I can't really afford to let them make an Arcanite Magician or a Black Rose, so I have to Bottomless Trap Hole here. If they Black Rose, they'll be up a solid card against me. And if they have like something like, obviously, Legacy of Yugioh, it would be even more cards. So I do have to Bottomless the Airbellum there. They attack the Exploder Dragon. This is unfortunate. I had hoped that they wouldn't do this, but they did. So the Exploder Dragon is going to pop the Spy. I kind of let this trade happen. I could have Deprisoned, but I was a little bit afraid of Book of Moon. If they had Book of Moon and I played Deprison, they book their Spy, I'm going to feel like a total fool. So that's just the way it went. They elected not to summon their Caius. Oh, no, wait, they already summoned Airbellum. Never mind. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. I pick up Gold Sarcophagus. This is maybe an argument against this card. It's pretty bad. But as you can see, I've got 3 battle traps. They're all looking pretty weak. And I've got Smashing Ground, which also looks pretty weak here. So I'm just going to Gold Sarc for Future Fusion. I'm going to pass. I already have a Deep Prison set. I don't need to set another one. I'm pretty screwed if they play anything too crazy. They're going to go for Heavy Storm. I'm going to chain Book. They're going to chain Legacy of Yugioh. And unfortunately for me, they did not draw a second Airbellum in the top 12 cards of their deck. So this is the reason I don't love Legacy of Yugioh, because if they drew an Airbellum here, their play would be actually kind of bad. They would have to like summon Airbellum, like Mind Control, or they would just Caius my guy. Like, it wouldn't even be that good of a play. But yeah, I generally think that Legacy of Yugioh, Upstart Goblin, these types of cards in the Rescue Cat deck, it's going to draw you into your bricks, like your triple Airbellum and your Descendant, more often than it's going to draw you into your Rescue Cat, which is, you know, more or less the case. But worked out well for the opponent. They're able to find Book of Moon. They're able to do all this stuff. I book my own monster so that they can't brain control it. I was trying to play around what I could play around, basically. They go ahead and summon the Rescue Cat. They make double Airbellum. They activate Mind Control, and then I scream and basically punch my keyboard and punch my drywall and everything else. And just, yeah, this is, you can see where this game's going. It's not going well. Then I have a Battle Trap, and they make an Arcanite, and it's just like, bruh. The Battle Traps are so bad here because they can just blow them up and then attack for game. Yep. I don't even think there's a single card I could have drawn there that would have got me back into it. There's no comeback card in the Dragon deck, unfortunately, outside of like Future Fusion. This game, my opening hand is still pretty bad. I have Double Totem, Mask, plus like Gold Sarcophagus, Book of Moon. So I don't really have anything too great, but I do have Rivalry, which can maybe get me somewhere. The opponent's hand, on the other hand, is fucking insane. They have Monk Cat. I mean, Cat being in the hand with Monk's not that great, but if they get Dust Shooted, then at least they'll still have one piece of their combo. They also have Spy, which is very good against us. And then they have a spell plus brain control for Monk in, the case that they are able to, like, average back their cat or something. Okay. And they pick up Dark Arm. So they have brain control, Dark Armed, Rescue Cat. Like, this hand's just insane, right? It's just 4 limited cards. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. I get owned by brain control, Dark Arm this game. And I was like, damn, what could I have done differently? What could I have done differently? Here comes Heavy Storm. Another insane limited bomb. I have to solemn that, unfortunately. Here comes Spy. I have to chain Rivalry. They can just use Descendant to pop the Rivalry if they want to, which they do. Rivalry, normally pretty good here, but bad in this circumstance. They are playing both Descendant and Guard, and they drew neither, of course, because why would they Upstart Goblin into Descendant when they could Upstart Goblin into fucking Dark Armor Dragon? That's just how it works. Here comes Caius, target the other back row. I'm able to book, but they just have Dark Armor Dragon anyway, and I'm not able to come back from this, I don't think. Yeah, I think I just get fucking owned by brain control. Yep. And that was that. So I was like, fuck me, man. I'm going to build a better version of this. That's basically what I was thinking at this point. I was like, maybe this deck is legit. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe I can make something that's a little bit up to date for the meta. So I revisited some of the ideas in their deck. Their deck had Dekoichi, which I think is cool. But again, Dekoichi, Upstart Goblin, Yatagarasu card. They're just going to draw you into these guys, which isn't that great. It's not. And I'm not a big fan of that sort of brick fest, so to speak. Yes, the opponent drew very well in that match. Yes, that is going to happen some percentage of the time. But you can't build your deck based off your opponent's deck because of that, that time you got sacked. You have to build it over a larger period of games. And I was thinking, Cat into Arbellum is actually probably pretty good right now. There's a lot of Frog Hero going around. There's a lot of Blackwings, which Spy is great against. There's a lot of, diverse strategies, which I think some of these cards like Hero Beat, Gravekeeper Spy is pretty good against that. Diva Hero, Gravekeeper Spy is pretty good against that. As long as your opponent's not like Caiusing you or burst Caiusing you, then I think Gravekeeper Spy is actually in a really good spot in the metagame. So I was thinking, okay, maybe we can start with some spies, the cat stuff, basic stuff. The top 10 cards are pretty basic. I added a couple Doom Caliber Knights. This is to help break parity against opening Rykos. I'm not a big fan of this card in general in this metagame, but it helps you against Glads, and it helps you against Ryko decks, which I think is pretty important. It also helps you deal with Drill Warrior, which is a problem. Then we've got one Caius. I think one is perfectly fine for this deck. More than one, it can get very bricky. It's kind of hard to support. Yes, you can burst it out with Cyber Dragon or with Trag Gores, but I think just the one is fine. You can always avarice it back if you want more. Of course, Trag and Gores, I think these are two of the better cards in the format in terms of defense. Tragodia is very good when you have easy access to a bunch of tuners. Dark Arm Dragon, best boss monster in the format, next to Christia. And then we've got Cyber Dragon, of course, just so we can make a synchro in one turn, or just special something to run over a hamster, whatever. Kind of deal with opposing aggro threats while keeping up the tempo. I am playing one Gale and one Mystic Tomato. Mystic Tomato can help you find Monk, Sangan, or Gale, which is nice. It can also find Gravekeeper's Descendant if you flip Spy into Spy, which is kind of nice too. So Tomato, I think, is just a good way to round out this monster lineup. I think it's a good way to keep your monsters in play. And I think it's a nice little utility card that gives you an extra dark for Allure, gives you an extra dark for Dark Armed, that sort of thing. I think it helps keep the deck a little bit glued together. Gale is a card that I've been very happy with lately too. A lot of people are playing stuff like Vandy's Fiend. It's a good way to respond to a Resolve Caius. This deck gets kind of owned if your Spy gets Caiused, so you have to have quick ways to respond to that, and Gale is one of the best ways to do that. Now for spell and trap removal, I'm playing 5 pieces. I'm playing Cold Wave, which I think is a busted card. Against heroes, they can't come back into the game if you wave them because they can't Miracle Fusion. Against some of the other decks in the format, it makes it very difficult, especially post-board if like their outs are like Lightning Vortex, whatnot. We've got Heavy Storm, obviously, Space Typhoon, the 2 best spell and trap removal. And then we've got 2 Noblemen of Extermination. My thought process behind this is it's fast, and it's a spell card. It's a spell card that you can pitch to Monk. I think having at least 12 spell cards game 1 is a good number so that your Monk is live more often than not. I think 5 pieces of spell and trap removal is good. While Nobleman of Extermination doesn't out Royal Oppression, which is a big issue for this deck in general, it does do a good job against all the other annoying back rows like Wind Blast, Icarus Attack, some of the things that'll interrupt your Spy, which is pretty annoying. I've got 1 Pot of Avarice. I think it's really all you need, especially when you're not milling so much. 1 Spy plus 1 Cat activation gives you an active Pot of Avarice. That's pretty much all you need. 1 means you're never going to brick on it. It also gives you an extra piece of Grave Control for late game Dark Arm Dragon, etc. You got Allure because you have a large number of darks, and it just helps you, filter your draws. If you draw Descendant, it's a good way to like filter it into 2 real cards. I may or may not cut a lure. I'm on the fence about it, but it was just spell card number 12 for this deck. Triple Book of Moon. I think Book of Moon's excellent right now. I think it's very good against Glads and Blackwings. I've seen a lot of those. So I think Book of Moon's just really good. It's also really good against heroes with this deck in particular, because the way this deck deals with Absolute Zero is like Descendant or Arcanite Magician, and you'll want to put that Absolute Zero face down. So when you pop it, they won't be able to Regeki your board. Then, of course, Brain Control and Mind Control are the two best spell cards for this deck. Not even close. Trap cards, all pretty basic stuff. I am playing Call of the Haunted. Even though the deck is very weak to Royal Oppression, I still think Call of the Haunted is good enough, and this deck is pretty slow, so you do need that extra bit of speed from Call of the Haunted. The sideboard's where things get interesting. I've got 2 DD Crow and 1 Dust Tornado. Those are kind of like your standard things. We're maining the Cyber Dragons, so they're not in the sideboard. I've got 2 My Body as a Shield. This helps against knock on your spies. This also helps against stuff like Black Rose, Icarus Attack, that kind of thing. This also helps against Royal Oppression in this deck, because a lot of the time you're going to be like activating Summoner Monk, and they'll Royal Oppression it, and then you can My Body as a Shield. Or activating Gravekeeper Spy, they'll Royal Oppression it, and then you'll My Body as a Shield. So this can help you deal with Royal Oppression in this deck a little bit easier than in some other decks where like you're just inherently special summoning. Yeah, that does come up, but not that much in this deck. And then of course I've got 2 Puppet Plant, 2 Electric Virus. There's a lot of machines going around, and there's a lot of heroes going around, so I think just being able to steal something, attack with an Arabellum, then synchro with their monster in main phase 2 is really, really disgusting. Just having extra copies of basically Brain Control and Mind Control in some matchups is great. Plus these cards also fuel your Pot of Avarice, which is nice. Then I've got 2 Light Mirror for Fairies and Lightsworns. I think that those matchups are probably terrible, so I've just included these in the side. Trap Hole for Blackwing, Smashing Ground for Glads. It's pretty straightforward. Extra deck, the only thing you really need to know about is the level 7s. I think you need all of these level 7s for sure. You definitely need double Arcanite. Making double Arcanite comes up a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and get into the matches that I played with this deck. So this was the first one against Blazin. This is the first match I played with this deck, and this was against Brolob. This game is hype. Should I show both hands or just my hand? I'm not sure. Let's show both. Let's show both. All right, so Brolob is playing Volcanic Quick Draw with Royal Decree. And I'm playing, obviously, the deck that I just showed you guys. My opening hand's pretty good. I've got Road plus Back Row plus Dust Shoot. And I've also got Arabellum Cyber Dragon, so I can make some cool plays on the next turn. I'm not going to summon the Arabellum because then it cuts off both my Cyber Dragons from being live. I'm just going to set 3 Back Row, Dust Shoot my opponent, take their best monster, and then like hope to Cyber Dragon Arabellum next turn. I Dust Shoot them here. I take their only monster. They are going to be able to charge for Raikou, but their other cards are pretty dead here, provided they don't mill a lot of monsters off the charge. So they are going to charge, mill 3. They're going to grab Raikou, and they're going to set Raikou and set 2 Back Row and pass. This is an interesting spot, right? Because I know that the set card is Raikou. I know they also have at least one of the Book of Moon set, because they're never setting Pot of Avarice here, right? And now I do know that they are on Quick Draw. I didn't know that beforehand, but now I know for sure that they are playing Quick Draw. So I can special Cyber Dragon and just attack the Raikou. Maybe they pop the Cyber Dragon. Maybe they pop one of my Back Rows. Who knows? I don't know. I can special the Cyber Dragon, normal summon Arabellum, attack with the Cyber Dragon, attack with the Arabellum. They'll either be forced to pop the Arabellum with the Raikou, or they'll be forced to book the Arabellum and pop something else with the Raikou. So that's a forcing play. If I special summon Cyber Dragon and normal summon Arabellum and make Stardust Dragon, which is something that could play around the Raikou, that actually gets me owned by Book of Moon, because I'll attack, they'll book my guy, and then they'll just Raikou pop the Stardust Dragon. And I'll lose a Stardust Dragon. I'll lose 2 cards for 1 Book of Moon, which is not great. So I'm just going to special summon the Cyber Dragon, normal summon the Arabellum, and attack with both. Basically force them to go after my Arabellum. I think this is a fine play. I could have waited on the Arabellum, but I'd rather have the Cyber Dragon in play than have nothing in play, and I just kind of wanted to do it this way. I'm going to set Solemn, and they don't actually end phase Decree me here. So now they are at exactly 5 monsters in grave, so they can activate their Pot of Avarice. And I need to think here too. Do I save my Solemn Judgment for their Royal Decree that I know about, that's killing both my Mirror Force and my Starlight Road? Or do I Solemn Judgment this Pot of Avarice and hope to keep them on a dead hand? Since they didn't end phase Decree me, I do have a chance to use this Solemn Judgment, which is very nice. And I do choose to Solemn Judgment the Pot of Avarice, because I'm like, okay, if I Solemn this, I know they have 2 books Decree, which doesn't do anything to my Cyber Dragon, and they have 1 unknown card. If the unknown card's a brick or not a monster, they're going to be under a lot of pressure. So I just Solemn this. They did find another monster and they set it. I did pick up a Gravekeeper Spy though, so I'm pretty happy with my decision to Solemn the Avarice there, even though my 2 back row are just completely dead into the Royal Decree. I'm going to set the Gravekeeper Spy. That's going to be a huge amount of pressure, especially if they don't find another monster here. They're going to pay 500 for the shell, which is a very real life point cost here. Because Spy, one thing people don't really realize about Spy is that it's 2,700 points of damage. That's a ton. That's actually a lot of pressure. It's very, very fast pressure. It's kind of like, I don't know, like Blade Splicer and MTG, I guess, is a good way of... Even more than that, actually. It'd be like Blade Splicer if it is like a 2-mana 5/5 or some shit like that. Yeah, it's like Tarmogoyf or whatever. In any case, we get Descendant because it's the most pressure. I did draw Allure, which is, again, it's going to be dead a lot in this deck. It's not going to be dead a lot, but oftentimes the monster you draw, you're not going to want to Allure away. It's only really for like Descendant, Tomato, and Gale if you don't want them in those circumstances, or like a Trag late game. So I'm not sure if Allure is really going to make it. Plus, again, I don't love draw power when you're just drawing into your bricks. I kind of like more tutor power when you have a bomb card and bricks in your deck. So I may or may not alter the Allure of Darkness pick in the future, but we'll see. We'll see. I attack with Spy because I realize that it's most likely a shell because they search for one and then they set it. And it's like, okay, they set Spy or shell last turn. What are they setting this turn? I attack with Descendant and I attack with Cyber Dragon. And here I actually have an interesting play. I can wait till the Royal Decree gets flipped for me to try and pop it, or I can try to blind get it. And I know it's one of the first two because they wouldn't set Double Book and then later set the Royal Decree. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's one of the first two. So I do go for the 50-50 and I do miss, which is a little awkward. They're going to book the Descendant and yeah, the Decree is going to be pretty good. We do pick up another trap card. We attack with both our monsters here. They are able to drop Battle Fader. They did misplay on the last turn. They could have searched their third shell and set it, or they could have just searched it and held it. Either way. End phase, they are going to hit me with the Decree. So now 1 for 3, basically. A very strong Decree here. They do draw for turn, and they do also find Volcanic Rocket. So their hand's actually pretty good. They're going to be able to search a shell. That'll give them at least Blaze Accelerator to out the Cyber Dragon, and Volcanic Rocket to run over Descendant. This is going to search Blaze Accelerator. They can attack the Descendant. We'll take 400. They're going to set the Typhoon and pass. I am going to activate Nobleman on the old or the new back row because I know the old back row is chainable. It's Book of Moon. In hindsight, I probably should have just hit the old back row because they can chain book my Cyber Dragon, but then I can just reflip it and run over the rocket regardless. So it was a little bit of a mistake here on my end. I attacked the rocket with the Cyber Dragon. They take 200. Just kidding. They book me. So they're not trying to spend this Blaze shell just yet. They're trying to save it for maybe a set Spy or something like that. They pick up Sangam, which is actually really good. They're able to summon it, attack for 1,000. And my position's not looking great. However, I did pick up Spy, and I do cast Allure of Darkness. Now, I do draw into my second Spy, which is, again, reasons why you don't like draw power like this 101. It's because you have bricks, and then you draw on your... It's just like confirmation bias, right? Banish one of the Spies, because my game plan now is to special Cyber Dragon, attack over Volcanic Rocket, set Gravekeeper Spy. I could do that and force him to Blaze the set monster, or I could summon the Gravekeeper Spy and attack over the Battle Fader. But there's a low chance that my Gravekeeper Spy, gets Caiused or something. I don't know where I was going with all this. I don't know. I decided to set it, basically. I didn't attack over the Battle Fader for no good reason, really. But yeah, I just set the Spy. Now, I know their hand is Shell, Blaze, one unknown. They activate Blaze. They Blaze pop the set monster. It is a Spy. They could have checked to see that I have Spy Descendant in the grave and Spy banished, and realized that they didn't really need to pop the set monster because I don't have any more targets, more or less, for Gravekeeper Spy to resolve. So it's just like, what's the point? You should just pop the Cyber Dragon instead because that's what's dealing the actual pressure. So I think them popping the set Spy here could have been a different play. They could have popped the Cyber Dragon instead, but who knows? They end up going Foolish for Dandy, and then I know their whole hand. I'm able to summon Dark Arm because I have 3 darks in my grave, so it's not bad. Popping the Royal Decree is good too because it turns on all of my back row, which is nice. And then I pop the Blaze just in case they top deck Pot of Avarice. And then I pop the Battle Fader just because I don't want them to have any bodies in play except for the Sangin. And then I'll just set the Bottomless and pass. So now if they do have Caius, I can still Bottomless it and still have the pressure of the Cyber Dragon. Whatever they pick up here is like pretty bad for them. And we're able to go to the next game, which is super nice. Okay, game 2. That worked out really well. I found Dark Arm Dragon when I needed it, and it carried my ass. pretty much. But the deck worked pretty well up until that point. Despite being Royal Decreed while having 3 trap cards set, it worked out pretty well. There was a little bit of misplays on both sides, but it's just me getting used to the deck, and I think the opponent probably like getting used to the deck as well. So this game I'm going second, but my hand's insane. I have Cyber Dragon Airbellum, which is a good combo. I also have Heavy Storm, which is nice. But the opponent has Trap Dust Shoot. So they're able to Trap Dust Shoot here, and they are able to take the Gores. Now, I think this is a mistake. I think this is actually a mistake. I think they probably should have taken the Airbellum, because I am in a special Cyber Dragon, and I am going to make Stardust Dragon, more or less, to play around Raikou. I attack this. They go mill only, hoping to hit a Dandelion, and they do not. They hit 3 spell and trap cards, which is, you know, unlucky, but it happens. Last game, they milled the right amount of monsters to Avarice. This game, they did not mill enough monsters. Their hand is full of monsters, none of which is really doing anything except for maybe this Debris Dragon. I'm going to set both Heavy Storm and Mirror Force. They know about both of them, so I'm just going to give them a 50-50, and if there's a case they out the Stardust Dragon and have Space Typhoon. And they pick up a third Caius, which is pretty bad for them, but I think he actually makes a pretty good play here. He summons Debris Dragon. He knows my 2 back row, and he just makes Iron Chain and passes. This is going to give him the time to actually actively Caius one of our cards. Now, I draw Trigodia, which is not a good draw because my hand is now empty. So I just set the Spy and pass. I can't afford to crash into Iron Chain because then my Stardust Dragon's gone and I'm just losing cards. They pick up Heavy Storm and they get a little bit antsy here. I think he makes a bit of an error. He goes ahead and activates Heavy Storm, but Stardust Dragon can negate that. So I negate it with Stardust Dragon. He goes ahead and sacrifices for Caius. Caius targets the set monster. That's pretty bad for us, losing the Spy, and we are going to take 2,400 here. I could drop this Trigodia, but I'm like, if I draw a lure, I'd rather want to lure it away, and having a 600 monster in play is like not that good for us right now, whereas like just having it in hand is fine for later. Stardust Dragon's going to come back. I like not to Mirror Force the Caius because Stardust Dragon can just run it over, so I'm not that worried. I picked up my body as a shield. I don't set it because I want my Trag to get stronger. They pick up Quick Draw, which is a really good draw for them. They pitch the Shell, special the Quick Draw, sack for Caius, banish the Stardust, and now all of a sudden I'm kind of in a bad spot. It's not a great place to be. They pass the turn, they don't attack because they know about the Mirror Force, and here I picked up Gale. In the deck tech, I talked about this deck being weak to Caius. Gale is a perfect response to a card like Caius. I'm able to have it and then just run it right over and stabilize the position. Now I have Gale Mirror Force, which is a great combination, and I have Heavy Storm in case he picks up any back row. I think I also do set my body. No, I don't. I don't set it quite yet. They go Foolish for Dandy, get 2 tokens, set the Shell. They're trying to set up for this third Caius. Now I have Mystic Tomato now, which is pretty good, so I'm going to summon that. I'm just going to attack the 2 tokens. I don't want to run into a Raikou quite yet because I have my body as a shield. Maybe I can bait that. So I set my body as a shield. This is to help protect me from Blaze Accelerator, and it's also to help protect me from a flip Raikou here. Opponent just sacks for Caius, so they drew all 3 Caius. I'm like, damn, they drew all 3 Caius. That's tough. But I still have Mirror Force, so I'm not going to lose this game just yet. They're going to target the Gale, which is one of the ways I could have outed the Caius, but that's fine. I still have Mirror Force, so we're still vibing. They set Torrential Tribute. I'm like, all right, that's cool. And here I pick up Rescue Cat. I'm thinking, okay, what can I do with this Rescue Cat? What can I do? Nothing. So I just switch the tomato and pass the turn. They pick up Lone Fire Blossom, which is a good draw for them, but it only gets Dandelion in their deck. I think they're not playing Titanial. I think they've cut it for some of this volcanic stuff, which I think is a mistake, generally speaking. I think you want Titanial in decks like this. I think Titanial is like one of the best cards you can go for. I think they might also just be going for Dandelion because they have Torrential Tribute here, but again, I don't really get it. They are going to attack the tomato. I don't really see the point in doing that. Maybe they're trying to force the Mirror Force before they activate Torrential or whatever, but this is just going to let me get Summoner Monk into play and then threaten next turn pitching a spell off the top to get another level 4 Spellcaster and then making double Arcanite and just crushing. They summon Lone Fire, they make Dandy, and they pass. We did pick up a spell, Allure of Darkness. Funny enough, I could allure away the Trag like I had planned on doing, or I could pitch it to Monk. I end up just going for the Rescue Cat first. Special summon the 2 Arbellums. Try to bait the back row. If it's bottomless, I can my body as a shield. If it's torrential, I can my body as a shield. It only really punishes me if it's Solemn Judgment. And if it's Solemn Judgment, then I can just switch the Monk to defense and allure away the Trag, maybe figure something out that way. I go ahead and my body as a shield. I activate Monk. I bring out Descendant. I synchro here into Arcanite. And then I pop both. I do want to get the last card out of the hand. So I attack everything now. And then I attack directly for 1600. Discarding the last card. And then I synchro into a second Arcanite Magician. They draw Cyber Dragon, but Cyber Dragon's not going to do much here. They should have maybe special summoned it to force me to pop it in order to really do anything. But I could have just attacked over it, so it's not that big of a deal. I do make a mistake summoning this Arcanite in defense position. I should have summoned it in attack position. That was a bit of an error on my part. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have ended up mattering because I do have Mirror Force to protect it anyway. So I switched that one to defense to defend my life points, which are getting dangerously low. Something like a Turbo Warrior could run over the Arcanite and kill me from this point. I attack directly for 2400. Pass the turn. They set a back row. I draw for turn. I go ahead and activate Heavy Storm. And that's going to be exact lethal right there with the double Arcanite Magician. So a crazy match. A lot of back and forth. A lot of different decisions made. A lot of curious things happening. I think we played it pretty well despite the few errors here and there. I think we did a good job. A lot of the cards that I added in, the tech cards, did a lot of work. I think the Gale did really well. I think the Tomato actually did pretty well too, as well as in My Body as a Shield. The Allure of Darkness, it was a spell for Monk, which is ultimately what you see. You saw how drawing into the third spy there was kind of awkward, but, you know, it also drew us into the Dark Arm, so there's that. Next match against Nick. I've got quite a few matches, actually, for you guys. This is going to be a solid video, a lot of quality content. So Nick is actually playing the deck that won RBCT. Or he's not playing against. Did I say he's playing against it? He's playing the deck that won RBCT. He's playing Hero Frogs. But he's also got a Unifrog, which is interesting. I've got Spy. I set Typhoon. I don't really want to Mirror Force anything. I'd rather someone just attack into my Spy. And I don't want to set 2 into Heavy Storm. So they go Swap Frog. And this is one of the weaknesses, I think, of this Hero Frog deck, is that it does play trap cards. And it does play back row. And I think they should have just Typhooned my back row. I don't understand why they wouldn't. Like, it just doesn't really make sense to me why they wouldn't. That way they can also stick their Wind Blast clearly. In any case, they bounce with Swap Frog. Set the Typhoon, and then M-Phase were able to Typhoon their Typhoon. Same result regardless, but I think they should have just Typhooned it to begin with. We're able to flip this Spy. Go get Descendant, I believe. And then I think I tank here for a while. So there's a couple of decisions here. I can attack for 2700. That's it. And just hope they don't have Gorge or anything. Next turn, they'll bring back Treeborn. They'll probably Monarch one of my cards. And then I'll Mirror Force the Monarch. And then on the next turn, I'll be able to attack back for probably 1200 or something. Who knows? That's one way this game could go. Additionally, I could summon the Doomcaliber Knight and get the 1900 in now. I do end up summoning the Doomcaliber Knight because the reason being is if next turn I draw an Airbellum or I draw a Rescue Cat or I draw a Summoner Monk, I actually do want to summon the card, and I would have liked to get the damage in from the Doomcaliber now. While it is a bit of a gamble, because if I don't draw a normal summon next turn, it's actually worse to summon the Doomcaliber now than it is to wait till next turn. I think it's still better, and Doomcaliber Knight also plays a little bit better into a Gorge, Trag, or Battle Fader right now. So I do attack with the Doomcaliber Knight. It's a bit of an interesting decision here, whether or not you want to attack with it. I'm not exactly sure what's right. Let me know what you guys would have done in this position, but I just go for the damage. I want to get in a ton of damage here. And I'm like, I got Dark Arms. If these 3 hit the grave, I'll just win with Dark Arms plus any other monster, which will be nice. I set the Mirror Force. Treeborn comes back, killing the Doomcaliber. That was always going to happen. They attack with the Ocean. And I do elect to Mirror Force here. The reason being is because that's their normal summon. And they're at 3,400. So next turn, if I draw a Tuner, I straight up win. I will just use Descendant to pop one of their cards. I'll summon the Tuner, synchro with Descendant, and special summon Dark Arm Dragon, and then I'll just win. So I'm thinking if I Mirror Force this Ocean, all they have now is like pitch to special swap, maybe Miracle out in Absolute Zero, but I can always pop the Absolute Zero with Descendant, and then the Absolute Zero will pop my Descendant, and then I can special summon Dark Arm Dragon, and again, if I draw any normal summon, I win. So it should be okay. Alas, they did set a back row, which complicates the shit out of this situation. So I'm like, okay, I need to proc that back row. Maybe I don't need to proc that back row. Who knows? What should I do here? I think I go for Cold Wave. Yeah, I do go for Cold Wave because I'm like, okay, looks like they're setting up for a Miracle Fusion, basically, based off of their play last turn. And I can 100% guarantee that this is a Phoenix Wing Wind Blast or Mirror Force. But generally speaking, you wouldn't set Mirror Force here because I can just descend and pop it, and that's bad for you. So I think it's 100% a Phoenix Wing or a Regeki Break, one of those discard traps that this deck is famous for playing. And the reason I think that is because they bounce this Treeborn Frog. Normally you bounce Swap Frog if you don't have a discard trap, and you bounce Treeborn Frog if you do. So that's kind of my thought process here. So I'm just going to Cold Wave. It's better not to sack the Descendant on the spy just yet. They do chain the Wind Blast, and they do target the Descendant. And I'm like, that's all right. That's okay. I'll just attack with the spy and pass. And the reason I'm okay with this is because they can't Miracle Fusion on this turn if that's their payoff. They can't like 1-for-1 or anything crazy. They can't even Pot of Avarice if that's what they're playing. I don't really know what they're playing, but they can't play a lot of their payoffs this turn. On my turn, I'll be able to either allure away the Descendant or figure out what to do with it. Nick asked me, why are you playing Caliber Cat? Out of curiosity. It's getting answered in this video. They draw Regeki Break. They are going to bring back Treeborn, set Dupe Frog, and they do not set the Regeki Break because they don't want to discard their Miracle Fusion. So this is kind of the weakness with the discard traps, is the second you use the first one, the second one starts to get pretty bad because you're low on cards, more or less, and you have to decide between resolving your payoff and using your Regeki Break, whatever. I do Allure of Darkness here, and then I do find Brain Control, and I'm like, oh, that's so good. That's so good. So I banish the Descendant. I go ahead and, I believe, set Call of the Haunted, and I switch the Spy. Yeah. So the reason I set Call of the Haunted is because, I don't know. I just do. I don't think we have a great play here. Allure of Darkness, it's able to clear the Descendant and dig us a few cards deeper. Not the worst here, but drawing into Extermination in a matchup where it's not the best is kind of annoying. Here they have Rhoda for Stratos. If they want to make this play, they do. They go and search Alias. They go ahead and activate Miracle Fusion, bringing out Absolute Zero. So I'm thinking, okay, now I'm in a bad spot because this is a lot of pressure. Absolute Zero can run over the Spy, and I'm taking at least 1,800 from this Stratos this turn. Next turn, they're going to have Elemental Hero Neos Alias. So I'm actually in a pretty tight spot here. However, I do have Dark Arm Brain Control, so if I can find a way to get a third Dark in the graveyard, somehow, miraculously, then I should be able to stabilize things. So, they attack with Absolute Zero, they attack for 1,800, and I do take that damage. I am not going to bring back the Spy to buffer my life points just yet. Now, they have Regeki Break, but I am going to go for Nobleman of Extermination. I just need to clear this. If it's Regeki Break, then at least I'm getting rid of the Alias in their hand, and I'm trading it for my Call of the Haunted, which is not the best, but not the worst trade. I think it's okay, either way. They elect to let this happen, and then they show that they're actually playing a full 3 Regeki Breaks alongside Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. So it's looking more like a build that Roundnook played at RBET. It was either RBET 3 or 4. I'm not sure which one that he topped with, but it's looking more like the RBET top build, which had, I think, 6 discard traps and Unifrog as well. So I'm like, okay, this looks more like that build with the Alias as well. And now I know more about my opponent's deck, which is good. It's always a good thing. And I go ahead and set the Torrential. Now the Torrential is good because I can actually call back Spy and then Torrential if they don't summon a monster. And if they do summon a monster, I can just Torrential and then go from there. They're going to go ahead and attack. And I'm actually just going to take all this damage. That's pretty much, yeah. I'm going to wait till the last possible moment to use this Torrential. They pass the turn. I pick up Gale, which is the perfect draw. As you can see, it's a tuner and it's a dark. So we're able to call Spy, normal summon Gale. Gale carrying its weight in these last matches, I think has been absolutely incredible. I also do like it because with all the control magic, with the Mind Control and Brain Control, you can special summon it if you take a Blackwing monster. And there are a lot of Blackwing decks right now, so that's pretty popular. All right, we're able to Synchro into Arcanite, special summon Dark Armed, and Brain Control for game. Woo, very nice. Another reason why I feel comfortable going for this, even though knowing I will die on the crackback, is because I believe in... What was it? In Roundnook's deck, in the deck list with triple Regeki Break, triple Phoenix Wing, they didn't play Tragodia or Battle Fader. They only played Gores. And this is lethal through Gores, because I just pop the 2 monsters, the Dupe Frog and the Treeborn. I attack over the Stratos for a good amount of damage, and then I attack directly for lethal, and they won't get a chance to use Gores. So that's where knowing the deck came into play. Okay, game two. Now I misboard a little bit. I leave in some cards that I probably shouldn't leave in, aka Mystic Tomato, Starlight Road. I think these cards are fairly weak, but in general, I just draw my bricks this game, and it just goes to shit, pretty much. They start Stratos, which is incredible. They already have the Malicious. They have Substitute. They have it all, pretty much. They set Regeki Break. IT set Sangan and Starlight Road. I know they're on 3 copies of Regeki Break, so setting Spy is kind of silly. If I can get them to Regeki Break my set monster, thinking it's a Spy, I'll be pretty happy about that. Instead, they go after the back row, though. I maybe should have just set the monster. Who knows? Here, I do have to DD Crow the malicious. You just have to do it. They sack for Ryza. This is very unfortunate. It means we are going to be falling very, very, very behind here. They do have Karma Cut on top of the other 2 discard traps as well, so it makes me believe that they're playing the full 7+. Here I set Sangan again because I need to search something to get me out of this situation, more or less. They attack with the Ryza, killing the Sangan, and that's going to get us DD Crow. So now I have DD Crow for the Miracle Fusion if they ever go for it, or for like their first Treeborn Frog or whatever. They go ahead and summon Substitoad, and if I was them in this situation, I would have just gone for Swap Frog and not Dupe Frog. They go for Dupe Frog. I would have gone for Swap Frog, send Treeborn, and then bounce Ryza. That's what I would have gone for. I think this is a bit of a mistake from the opponent, because Dupe Frog doesn't do anything here. It's just like, just an awkward card, you know? So I special summon Cyber Dragon. Now, out of fear of Caius, they do Karma Cut, pitching the Treeborn Frog. They do end up getting a Treeborn Frog engraved, but they don't have another Monarch to really abuse it. So I think this is a bit of an error. I think their play was an error. I think they should have got Swap Frog and then bounced the Ryza. Either that or just go for the full dupe lock. I think that either of those is good. But they are going to hit the Cyber Dragon. We're going to set the Spire, and we're going to have to pass. Since they only have 1 Treeborn engraved now, I am able to DD Crow it. And this is going to prevent them from really going too crazy with their own Substitoad here. They're going to attack into the Spy. We're going to grab another Spy. Just to set up for our Caius in hand here. And I think they do go Substitoad again into... No, this time they go to Swap Frog. And this time they do bounce the Ryza. So, pretty bad spot for us. Pretty bad spot for us, I can't lie. And we pick up Descendant, which is awesome. Really great draw. Here we have to Caius, target the Dupe Frog. But we're pretty dead. They're just going to remove the Caius. No, they don't remove the Caius quite yet, because they didn't want to discard either of these cards. I get it. They summon Ocean. They pass. We summon Descendant. We should attack with both. There is some consideration of Mirror Force, but after seeing Karma Cut, I'm pretty sure they're on just like full discard trap stuff. They're going to Phoenix Wing Windblast the Caius. Descendant's going to crash with the Ocean. I'm going to set one. They're going to bring back Treeborn Frog, but they did top deck Miracle Fusion, so we are going to lose this game pretty quick. We have to chain book on the Ryza. They didn't Miracle here. They should have. Honestly, they just missed damage. They know we're drawing Caius, so we can't really out it very effectively. We summon the Tomato. We attack over the Ryza. They pick up another Ryza, and now we just fucking lose for sure. But we would have lost this turn regardless if they had just Miracled on the previous turn. So a bit of error from our opponent there, but our hand was pretty bad. We drew Descendant, we drew Spy, we drew Tomato, we drew Gale. Like, we drew a lot of monsters to normal summon, and no real combo pieces, no real monk stuff. For this game, I boarded in Puppet Plants, and I boarded back in the Space Typhoon, because seeing Karma Cut, Phoenix Wing, and Regeki Break means they have at least 7 trap cards, which means M-Phase Space Typhoon is going to be good no matter what. So I'm going to go ahead and, I believe, just set Space Typhoon. Yeah, because next turn I want to go for a play where if they just summon Stratos, I can special Cyber Dragon, normal Monk, pitch for Cat, and then Puppet Plant the Stratos and OTK them. Which is exactly what ends up happening here. And it makes me pretty happy that I left in the Space Typhoons as well, or brought back in the Space Typhoon in this matchup after seeing that many trap cards. We take 1800, which doesn't really end up mattering. They only set 1, so we're able to M-Phase space that and then just go the fuck off. Avarice, obviously an amazing draw because it's going to let us draw 2 cards even after comboing off here. And you can see the strength of Puppet Plant in this deck. It's just very good. We go ahead and steal. I am able to hit 2 cards out of their hands. I don't know if this is right. I don't know if we have lethal somehow. Let me do some quick math. If we make Arcanite, which is these 2 cards, that's 24, 45, plus 34. It's 7,900, so it's not quite lethal. I don't think we have a way to lethal the opponent with this board. I think we're just shy of lethaling them. Yeah. I think we're just shy of it. So we could either make Herbellum or Herbellum first, or we could just hit 2 cards and make Arcanite after, which is what I end up doing. So, I just go for the card advantage because I think it matters. Like, the extra 800 life points, it's like, yes, Brain Control's live. Yes, I get that, but I'd rather just hit the extra card. I do end up hitting their 2 actual spell and traps, which is really funny. I make Ancient Fairy with their Stratos, and then I synchro off with oh wow, I actually make Stardust Dragon. I don't make Arcanite. I probably should have. Well, no, actually, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. This basically forces them to have Brain Monarch, and then Gale kills them because... Well, Gale doesn't kill them, but it kills the Monarch. So we can Pot of Avarice back a bunch of cards, hopefully find a trap card to protect with our Stardust, and just close the game out. We found Trap Hole, so now we should be good to go. They can Brain one of our Synchros, Monarch the other Synchro, and then we'll just Trap Hole the Monarch, and then kill them next turn with Gale plus Monk into Arcanite. They go ahead and set 2 cards. I'm not too worried here. I go ahead and summon Gale, summon Arcanite, try to pop their cards. They have 1 back row. We have 3 threats. That's just how it goes. You know how it is. We go ahead and pop the last back row, the Chain Karmakant and the Stardust, and then we attack with Ancient Fairy. GG's. Good stuff. So, I think an over-reliance on these discard traps definitely hindered the opponent. I think a few misplays hindered the opponent too. But you saw the power of some of the combos when you do open Monk Avarice plus a spell. It's pretty insane. Okay, next match. This match is against King Fet. Let me know if you guys like seeing both hands or seeing just my hand. King Fet is playing Lightsworn. This is a funny one. King Fet activates Solar Recharge, and as you can see, even after all of this draw power, this style of Lightsworn, let me tell you. I think it's not good. I think it's not good. I think this type of Lightsworn deck is now outdated. I think if you're going to play Lightsworn, you got to cut Wolf. And you got to play that Christia deck. Because that deck's fucking crazy. It's just so much better, and it's so much less bricky, and you have, like, shutout games and shutout potential, and you have, like, bombs, and you're not, like, relying on, like, jank, like, Avarice into Mill, into whatever. So, yeah, this definitely ended up working out well for us. They brick pretty heavily. I summon Airbellum. I attack. I deal 1,600. And then I hit their Judgment Dragon. And then they leave the game. Which is, you know, they could have played it out. They could have maybe played it out, but hey, that's what you get. Double Reincarnation, Trunade, like Avarice, Needlebug Nest, a lot of bricks. A lot of bricks for sure in these types of builds. Definitely want to play the Christia build. I think it's just straight up better. You're not getting bogged down with these cards stuck in your opening hand. Okay, next match. Next match, is this the last one I have? It might be the second last one. I'm not really sure. This game's against Ayumi Cat. I get to go first. My opening hand is Solid, and I'm playing against Vayu Turbo. So this is another one of those decks that a lot of people think is one of the better decks. So we'll see how things pan out. I did draw my Descendant, which sucks, but hopefully Trap Dushu can take the only monster that can attack over it, and if not, I do have Call of the Haunted for next turn, so I can make a cat play at the very least. I do go for the Trap Dushu, and thankfully, yeah, they are only on one monster that can attack over Descendant, so I take that. I now know that they have Vayu, Elfin, Burial, so they can put some stuff together. They do have a Typhoon for my Call of the Haunted, and they do have a Dark Arm Dragon looming, so I gotta be careful of that kind of stuff. Vayu, in general, pretty good against Doom Caliber Knight. Doom Caliber Knight, not the best in this matchup. It can hit over Raikou pretty effectively, but outside of that, it's not the best. You have to keep the Vayus out of the grave before going for this card. It's a little awkward. Now, they set Vayu, set back row, and I'm like, okay, I'm a gambling man. I'm a gambling man. I'm going to attack with both my Airbellums. Now, this is pretty fucking bad. It's pretty fucking bad if I hit the Elfin. It's pretty fucking bad. Like, it's actually pretty bad if I hit the Elfin. But if I don't hit the Elfin, then it's pretty fucking good. So, let's run it. So, I hit for 16, and I do hit the Burial first, I believe. Yep. Then I hit for another 16, and I roll my dice, and I hit the Dark Arm. So I kind of sacked the shit out of my opponent. Let's be real. Kind of sacked the shit out of them with the cat pop 2 out of the hand. I am able to make Arcanite. I am able to call. They are going to chain Typhoon. The reason I call here is because it forces their Typhoon activation without wasting a counter on my Arcanite Magician. I'm just explaining that Rescue Cat does not negate in Edison format. I set Book of Moon, And at the end of the turn, Airbellum dies. But if this Arcanite dies or this Doom Caliber Knight dies, I am able to Pot of Avarice. So this looks pretty good. It kind of almost makes me want to add a second Pot of Avarice over that first Allure of Darkness. Because Pot of Avarice is so fucking good once you've made your play. It's like literally like a god card. Here, they do pick up a really nice draw in Rhoda. So Rhoda's able to find them Dark Grepher. And Dark Grepher is great here for a lot of reasons. Dark Grepher can not only get this Elfin out of the hand and into the grave, but it gets them a second value in the grave. So even after they go pitch Elfin, make Armor Master, I have to book the Armor Master. I attack over Grepher, I pop the Armor Master. They can still make Silverwind, so I still have to draw an out this next turn. So I'm actually not out of the woods just yet because this was a really good draw from them. They're able to make Armor Master with the value in the Elfin. They attack the Arcanite. I do have to book it here. Now on my turn, I pick up Bottomless Trap Hole, which is an out to Silverwind. Thank goodness. I am able to attack over the Grepher, and then I am able to, main phase 2, pop the Armor Master. Keep in mind, it is a choke to summon the Doom Caliber Knight, because if I summon the Doom Caliber Knight, then I can't actually clear the Armor Master. Once it's been Book of Moons, it forgets that its effect was negated by value, so it can't be destroyed by battle. So if I summon Doom Caliber Knight and I try to attack the Armor Master, it'll just like Spirit Reaper wall me out. And then if I try to activate Arcanite Magician, Doom Caliber Knight will negate my own Arcanite Magician, and I'll look like a fool. It would turn on my Pot of Avarice, but that's a meme. Let's be real. They pick up a value, they activate their value, they banish that in the Armor Master, make the Silverwind, but I did draw the Bottomless, so I'm very lucky. And they did draw their brick, which is value. Here, I am going to summon the Doom Caliber Knight because if it's a Raikou, I do want to trade my Doom Caliber Knight with it right away. It's a value, but that's fine. I'm still okay with this. I attack for 14. Put them down to 27. They do pick up Aaron, which is going to clear my whole board. But again, I'm pretty happy about this just because not only do I get to see that they are on Aaron, but they're really low. And Pot of Avarice is going to be live now. And I picked up Solemn Judgment for turn, which means if I find one Gravekeeper Spy, I immediately win because that's a lethal threat. So I shuffle back 5. Yeah, I think I shuffle back the extra deck to give me the highest chance at drawing Spy, and I do. So I set Spy, I set Solemn. I'm going to Solemn anything they play, and on my next turn, I'm going to flip the Gravekeeper Spy and just attack for 2,700. Beautiful. Easy, just how we drew it up. Did kind of sack the opponent there. I did have Dust Shoot. I did have, a couple of lucky Airbellum hits, but that's the strength of the Airbellum stuff. I think Airbellums are a little bit underrated. Attacking the hand is not something that a lot of decks can do very effectively. This Rescue Cat deck is pretty good at it. So, my opening hand this game, pretty good. Pretty good. The opponent's opening hand, also pretty good. They've got Royal Oppression, which is really good against our deck. They've got Allure to help filter out one of these dead values, and they've got Mirror Force, which will help protect their hand from something like an Airbellum push. While Mirror Force isn't the best because Arcanite Magician is often the play, it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good, especially if I get greedy with like a Rescue Cat push. So they're going to Allure, they're going to banish a value, they're going to summon Dark Grepher, they're going to pitch Sirocco and send value. I don't love this play. I don't love this play for a couple of reasons. If I was them, I would have kept the Sirocco, I would have pitched the value and sent Elfin. That probably would have been what I would have gone for. That way, having Sirocco in hand is better than having value in hand. And then on top of that, they can make a stronger monster next turn. Not a 2,300 monster, they can make a 2,500 monster. Plus, it gets Elfin out of the deck. So, the only thing that I would be considering is maybe they sided out the Elfin, but you'll see later that they did not. I think that's a bit of an error from the opponent. And then they do set Royal Oppression, but they don't set Mirror Force, which I think is sus, to say the least. Now I'm going to set Gravekeeper Spy, and I'm going to set Bottomless Trap Hole. While they can activate Grepher again, them pitching Sirocco led me to believe that they don't have another value. I was wrong, of course. They do have another value. They do pick up Chaos Sorcerer. They don't shuffle their hand, and it shows that my prediction was incorrect. They are able to send the Elfin. However, they do make an error here. They attack with Grepher into my monster and not with an Armed Wing or an Armor Master. Yes, while it is important to not play too hard into a sweeper, I think you can switch the Grepher to defense, summon an Armed Wing, and still be okay. The Grepher's already done its job, right? So, here's Spy. Spy's going to get Descendant, and now they're in an awkward spot because Descendant can pop their back row, and I've got Rescue Cat, and it's all downhill from here. It's just straight up all downhill. They're going to activate value now, make an Armed Wing. They're going to set Burial, set Mirror Force, and I'm like, oh shit, 3 back row? What do I do now? Boom, top deck Cold Wave, baby. Activate Cold Wave. They should have chained Burial. That was mistake number 1. They didn't chain Burial. Well, that wasn't mistake number 1. I think it was like mistake number 3 this game, but yeah, they should have chained Burial for sure. I'm able to summon Cat, launch that bad boy off. grab a couple of Airbellums, make a couple of Arcanites, attack over their dudes, and pop their whole board. Put them in a bad spot. Now, they do have one more value left. They do have the ability to make an Armor Master and kill my last Arcanite. And since I am locked under Cold Wave, I can't set my Book of Moon, and I can't activate my Bottomless Trap Hole on their turn. So I do need to find an out to this Armor Master, but whatever, right? Like, worst case scenario, I can book it and then bottomless it. It's fine. I pass. They pick up Torrential. They do go for the Armor Master. This is going to attack over my Arcanite. Totally chill. We are going to lose our Arcanite. I pick up Gale. Perfect out. They can't set the Torrential because of Cold Wave. I am able to normal summon Gale, have their Armor Master attack over it because it's negated by value, and then attack directly with Arcanite. I'm not really afraid of Gores. I would fear it more if they weren't locked under Cold Wave and they chose not to set, but yeah, they were locked under Cold Wave, so there's a good chance that it's just spells and traps. I don't need to commit too much to the board here. I just attack for 17, I believe, and then pass. Either that or I set the Spy. I do set the Spy. Okay, now I know they have stuff like Torrential Tribute, but I don't ever have to flip the Spy, more or less. I can just keep attacking. And then here I find Heavy Storm, and that's just game, because, like I mentioned before, Spy is a lot of damage. While the Descendant is gone, still 1 4-star for 2400 is pretty high. So I'm going to activate Heavy Storm, clear the back row, flip the Spy first before summoning the Doom Caliber, and then summon the Doom Caliber to OTK through Gores. Hype match. Hype match. I think there was a few sequencing errors from the opponent. The big one not chaining the Burial to the Cold Wave. Yeah, that definitely would have changed the game, I think. Yeah, it would have changed it a lot. Because I don't know how I would have played through all that. I mean, I did have Bottomless that didn't get used. I did have Book that didn't get used, so it probably could have gone either way regardless. But it definitely would have kept them in the game a few turns longer. All right, I think that's all I got for this deck. That's all I got for today. Let me go ahead and go back to the list. As far as the list goes, I'm really happy with it. I think it's really good. I don't think there's anything I would change about it right now. Besides maybe cutting Allure for a second Pot of Avarice. That's maybe one of the changes I would make. Let me go ahead and pull up the list again. Taking a look. How long has this recording been? Oh, we got time for a bonus match. Maybe I'll give you guys a bonus match. Okay. Yeah. This list, yeah, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I think it's fine. Maybe you could side out a Smashing Ground for a Dust Tornado or something. It's all marginal, right? It just depends on what you're siding in and out in a lot of matchups. Let's do a bonus match. This is a match, me versus Alfred 1. I am going to win Rock, Paper, Scissors. I am playing Dragons. This is the exact list I played from the... What was it? What was the thing? The YCS. There we go. The exact list I played from YCS. And I opened Future Fusion and I went first, so... I reveal the things. I summon the thing. You know how it goes. Triple Wyvern, 1 red med. That's all you need. Send the totem so I can summon this White Knight bitch-ass card in my hand. And phase bring out the red med. Now, the opponent did draw the out. Lucky son of a bitch. They can either creature swap me, because they are playing this for some god-awful or god-forsaken reason. They're going to sack this and Caius me, just to keep me on my toes a little bit. We're going to take 1,000, but you're going to see why creature swap sucks balls here in a second. They're going to set 3. I pick up another red med. I'm like, oh god, this is insane. I bring back totem. I banish for red med. I priority special out White Knight. They bottomless the red med, but Deep Prison Starlight versus White Knight Dragon. Nice try, buddy. Attack over the Caius, and I still haven't normaled, so I can set one of these other monsters, and that'll blank the creature swap, which I don't actually know about, but it's funny that it just does. Next turn, I get 5-headed. I attack for 3k, 5,000. They do have Deep Prison for this. I'm going to set Solemn Judgment after summoning Dragos to prevent them from doing something like Dark Arm Dragon, that kind of thing. They pick up Deep Prison. They go for Heavy Storm. This is just for information, more or less. They're going to set Deep Prison. I'm going to Space Typhoon it, and we're going to go to the next game. Future Fusion's broken, baby. People are like, why is Dragons a good deck? Dude, you just activate Future Fusion, you win the game immediately. Like, you have a card that says if you go first and you draw this, you win the game. It's insane. Okay, this game, a little bit closer. They've got double creature swap. They've got Evil Guy. They've got Monarch. So their deck's pretty unique. It's like an Evil Guy Monarch spam deck. Okay? Diva, Gilman, Catastor. I think opening on Android's a little bit better in this matchup. Catastor and Android kill the same things. I go ahead and set DD Warrior Lady, trying to kill this Alive Justice Catastor, and then I go ahead and set 2 back row. I'm going to get Heavy Stormed here, which is... annoying because I would have liked these 2 back row to stick around. But I do like simplified game states with the dragon deck. I think once you get down to low resource, the dragon deck top decks very well. Whereas most other decks that are more combo oriented, that can pick up cards like an evil guy off the top, an evil guy with no cards is pretty bad. A Ryza with no cards is pretty bad. You need extra stuff for these cards to be active. Whereas the dragon deck, I can draw a Wyvern, I can beat your face in. So I think in a simplified game state, it does favor me. They go ahead and sack for Ryza, which does suck, but I have ways to clear the Ryza, so it's like, it's alright. It could be worse. We are going to take a bit of damage. We're going to summon the Wyvern. We're going to banish for red med and just clear the threat right now. This is a little bit unfortunate. We are going to get creature swapped. They're going to take the red eyes and then attack over the evil guy, which sucks. Thankfully for us, we do top deck our own red eyes, so we are able to brain control. And then you always want to attack first here. If it's a battle trap, you would rather them waste it on the one that you took than the one in your hand, so you don't get 2-for-1s. Attack for 2,800. Banish for red med. We get torrentialed, and that's why you always attack first. Set the DD Warrior Lady because we hadn't summoned a monster yet. They're going to special evil guy in here, and I'm like, fuck, I'm just dead to any monarch. But not this monarch, baby. Morbius not going to do it, and this is exactly what happens. We've entered the top deck war. And I think the top deck war always favors this deck. The dragon deck is very good once both players are at 0 cards. I pick up Bottomless. I'm like, all right, that's a great card. They pick up Dust Shoot. Not a great card. I pick up Deep Prison. All right, that's another great card. They pick up Diva. I'm like, all right, they can summon Diva, but their Gilman is gone. So what are they going to do? Attack me for 200 for 12 turns? Like, that's not going to happen. However, they are playing Atlantean Pikeman. Kind of a weird pick. I don't think it's that good. They are going to go for a Synchro here into Armory Arm. Now, the reason I let this get summoned is because their deck is pretty Monarch heavy. We'll see Morbius, Ryza, and I know they have Caius as well. So that's at least 6 copies of Monarchs. I think Bottomless Trap Hole does a better job at responding to a Monarch, something like Evil Guy Monarch, whereas Deep Prison does not do a better job. So I don't Bottomless the Armory Arm. I actually like to use my Deep Prison. This is important. I think it's important to know when your back row is good and what it's good against, and to use the right back row on the right thing. I have 2 answers that can respond to this and do the same thing essentially, but I want to save the one that's more versatile for later on. I pick up Gold Sark, awkward top deck, but hey, I'm going to search Future Fusion, whatever. They pick up Dandelion, they just set it. I pick up Mass Dragon, I go ahead and swing. This is going to give them 2 tokens. They pick up Space Typhoon, they're going to Typhoon the Bottomless, so it didn't end up mattering which one I used, but it's still good to think about that kind of stuff. And now I do get Future Fusion, and the game's going to fucking end. So, yeah, pretty much that. We're going to go ahead and send all of our resources. We have 2 red eyes in the graveyard. Even though they do have these tokens, it shouldn't be a problem. I do this just to clear the tokens because I die to any Monarch if I don't. So I let the Drago die. I don't get to bring back Red Med yet, but this is important to play around a Monarch. And then now I pick up Drago. This turn is turn 1. I attack with the Mass Dragon. I get to bring back Red Med. They Bottomless. I bring back the other Red Med. They have nothing. They set Royal Oppression. On my turn, I can just attack them directly for game. And that's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. That's how it's done. He says, close one. It was a close one. I think if the Morbius had been not a Morbius, then I would have lost immediately. And we would be going to game 3. But nice little bonus match. Again, smash like, subscribe. Yeah. See you guys in the next vid. Peace.